Hi there, this is Andrew Brody with Yokogawa's Network Solutions Group, and today I'd like to talk to you about configuring the DAQStation and the DAQMaster or MW100 for use with network time protocol. So essentially what we're going to do here is we're going to show how to configure the MW100 and the DAQStation to automatically retrieve time from a network time server. And I'm going to do this on Windows 7, not the server version. The server version, essentially, you're going to need to work with your network administrators to make sure that the Windows 2008 server, which would be what they most likely use, is configured as a time server. I'll probably show you some little pieces that might help with that, but primarily what I'm going to focus on is two situations. One is you have a simple Windows 7 professional, premium, unlimited sitting on your network that you would like to synchronize time with. So you could have your DAQStations or your MWs synchronize with that. And the other thing I'm going to show you is a very basic way to have other devices like the MW100 or even other DAQStations synchronize with a DAQStation. That's right, a DAQStation can actually be a time server for other devices that can do network time protocol synchronization. So I'm going to kind of show you those two situations. One, how to use Windows 7 for time serving, and the other is how to use a DAQStation for time serving. Okay, so first of all, if you want to use anything other than like a server version of Windows as a time server, you're going to need to get yourself a time server piece of software. All right. The one that I found that seems to work is by a company called Byte Fusion. It's called the Present Tense Time Server, and you can go to the Byte Fusion website up here and download it. I'm sure there are some other ones out there, but this is one I've tried. This is one that works. Okay, and so you can download a 30-day demo to see if you can get it to work for you, and go ahead and install it. And what this little time server piece of software does is it allows your Windows 7 kind of standard version. If it's not a server version of Windows, you don't get the time server capability built into it. Okay, so that's why you need this piece of software. So what this piece of software does is it allows your computer to go off to the internet and retrieve a internet time, which is hopefully very accurate, and then in turn serve up that time to stuff like the DAQStations and DAQMaster MW100. Okay, it of course can also just serve up its local clock time as well if you would like to your DAQStations. So I've gone ahead and downloaded this and installed it, and it went through, said everything installed correctly, and about the only thing you need to do is make sure it's up and running here. So make sure that it's started. Okay, and it's going ahead and it's showing the clock. One thing you're going to want to do is kind of make sure you know your time zone. So I'm set up for the correct time zones and everything here. So in this case I'm Eastern time. Make sure that your daylight savings time is set up properly as well. All right, and then SNTP time source. This is where my computer that's running this time server is going off to get its time, and then here's its backup time source here. Okay, so this is always going to ensure that my PC, which is hopefully going to be the root of time for all the data acquisition sitting on my network, is going to get all its stuff. So anyways, here we go. If I got my log here, I can also kind of see this is, where I've been getting my time as well. So let's just leave this. This guy's up and running. Now the only other thing that you're going to need to do to make sure that your computer here is able to serve up time is you're going to have to go to your control panel. You're going to have to go to System and Security. You're going to have to go to your Windows Firewall. Okay, you're going to have to go to Advanced Settings. All right, you're going to have to go to Inbound Rules, and you're going to have to create a new rule. Okay, then you're going to pick Port. You're going to go Next. You're going to pick UDP, and then you're going to type in 123. That's the standard NTP type port, and you're going to go ahead and hit next. And essentially what it's going to do, and I've already created one here, if I scroll down here and I gave it a name, SNTP UDP. And let's just click on that to take a look. And protocols and ports, you can see UDP 123. All right, and I've allowed everybody to kind of come into me on this. So it's an inbound rule where I've basically UDP port 123 to allow communications with this computer. All right, if you don't do that firewall, anybody trying to come into your computer is going to be blocked by default. All right, so anyways, I can see the service is up and running. Here's the time. Let's go over to something like the MW100 and show how you do it. So I'm assuming your MW100 is sitting on your network. You're going to make sure that your measurement, math, all those guys are stopped because you can't make any changes while they're up and running. And you're going to go over here to communication settings. All right, you're going to go over to SNTP client setting. All right, and then you're going to go enable. This is the IP address of my computer. All right. If you need to find out what the IP address of your computer is, you can go Start, Control Panel, Network and Internet, Network and Sharing, change adapter settings. Okay. Here's my local area connection. This is the actual Ethernet card that's sitting on my computer here. I can double click on this and then I can go to details, and then we can see right here, there's the address of it. Okay, hopefully this is a fixed address, or it's an address that you're always going to be coming up with. You know, it's always nice if you got a nice static address, because your DAQStations, your MW100s, they're always going to want to be able to find you. But anyways, here's the IP address that I've got for this computer. Okay, so anyways, I put it in there, that port 123, that's the standard one. Okay, reference time, you can just leave that here, and then here's the interval at which the MW100 is going to redo its time. I can go ahead and hit apply. All right, so starting at basically midnight, every 3 hours after that, it's going to go ahead, go to this address and say, give me your time. All right, so let's go top here. Now, under system settings, log information, we've got this guy here, SNTP client log. This is what you want to see. You want to see if it's successful in actually going out and getting its time, you're going to see report adjust. Okay, and we can see here that 15, 19, 27 report adjust, it was able to actually synchronize the time here. To force a time synchronization on the MW100, the easiest thing to do is cycle power on it, because when it reboots, it's going to go out to the time server and try and get its time. If you see a timeout here, it means for one reason or another, you're not getting through to your time server. So what I'm going to do here, just to kind of show you that this is legitimate and I'm getting kind of a time update, is I'm going to go ahead and power off my MW and power it back on, and we should hopefully see that this guy here updates its time. All right, so let me just, if all went well here, we should see as soon as I go ahead and hit update here that this 319 is hopefully bumped up a little bit. Okay, so we can see 334, so it's done its adjustment. That means I've had a successful time synchronization. Once again, if you see a timeout here, it means that the MW was not able to get over to the time server here. All right, so let's take a look at how we do the same type of setup on the DAQStation. So I've gone ahead, start all programs. This is a piece of software you should have if you have a DAQStation, DAQ standard, and I've gone ahead and fired up the DAQ standard hardware configurator. All right, so I've got it here. You know, the other thing that I've done with the DAQ standard hardware configurator is I've gone ahead and I've gone COM receive settings from this guy here, 192.168.1.204. That's the IP address of this particular guy. If I just go ahead, OK, receive settings, it's going to go ahead and suck down all the settings from the unit. Okay, So let's take a look at the important settings to set up time synchronization on the DAQStation. So the first place I'm going to go over here is Ethernet, and I'm going to go down to the SNTP client. So first of all, of course, you've got to make sure it's used. You can see I've put in the same 192.168.1.111 for the server name. Port 123, I'm saying, hey, update every hour. Once again, you can see that reference time. So starting at midnight every hour, a 30-second timeout, time adjust start, off, on. That just basically means when I reboot the computer, or sorry, not when I reboot the computer, but actually when I go ahead and do recording. As I start my recording, it'll automatically do a time synchronization. The other way to kind of force a time synchronization out onto the network is to hit the function key and hit next a couple times until you see SNTP on the screen, and then pick the SNTP button, and it'll go off. And if everything works out, it should just do a time synchronization. If everything doesn't work out, what it's going to do is sit on the screen for a while and eventually time out. So that'll mean that you've got an issue there. All right, while I'm in here, let me show you something else here. Under server functions, I can actually set up the DAQStation as a SNTP server. So if I just go click here and go use, now what I can do is I can point other DAQStations to this particular DAQStation. So this DAQStation sitting at 192.168.1.204 for its IP address. Now I could go into stuff like my MW100s, other DAQStations, and I could all point them to this guy as the actual time server. But I just got to go here and make sure it's used. Now, while this won't guarantee that I'm absolutely perfectly synchronized with the internet out there in terms of time and stuff like that, what it will is at least make sure that all the other recorders in the area are at least relative time synchronized to this particular DAQStation. If you're not doing this through DAQ standard, you can also do it directly on the DAQStation itself. What you do is you stop recording, you'll hit the menu key, that'll take you to the first level menu, and then you'll either pick basic setting mode from that first level menu, or you'll hold the function key down for 3 seconds, and that'll take you into basic setting mode. Once you're there, you can then go into communications, and then under communications you can go ahead and pick your server functions. You can turn on the SNTP, or you can configure the SNTP client setting, and you'll find all those under the Ethernet. So once again, basic setting mode, then you'll go communications, then you'll go Ethernet, and then you'll pick underneath that all the things that you want to do, like SNTP client or the server functions, just like I've set up here. All right, so that's the DAQStation setup. If I changed it all here, I can go COM, send settings, and that'll send all these settings down to the DAQStation. All right, so how can we kind of check the results here to see how far this particular computer is off from my DAQStation and my MW100? So what I've done is, let's start this from scratch here. I've gone ahead as start, and I can type in here CMD, and this will kind of bring up my DOS box here. Okay, and then what I can do is I can go ahead and there's a command called win32time. All right, and let's take a look at that. W32TM space / question mark, and that gives you all the parameters. All right, but here's one that I'm particularly interested in, which is kind of neat, between showing the time difference between different computers, and it's this strip chart function. W32TM / strip chart, and then / computer name and colon, and then the IP address. So let's check that out quickly. So W32TM / strip chart / computer, and let's do my MW100. 192.168.1.32. Okay, so that's the IP address of my MW, and by default it's going to use the clock on this computer that I'm currently running on. And what we're going to see here is if we take a look at the screen, so it's going to say, here's my current date and time, and we can kind of see the local computer, which is showing here, and here's the other computer. Okay, and so these offsets here, we're seeing that they're very, very, very little offset between one computer and the other. We're talking fractions of a second here. All right. Now, if the offset was too big, like kind of like 1 hour, then I take a look and see if my time zone or my daylight savings time is set properly on my DAQStation or my MW. Because if it gets too far off, I just won't be able to synchronize. You really should be within hopefully a couple minutes of one another for synchronization to work properly here. Okay, but we can see the offset between my computer and the MW100 is very little. If I kind of go ahead and do the DAQStation, we can see that I got very little offset between me and the DAQStation as well. Even better synchronized here. All right. And once again, if you see this at something like 3,600 seconds, that would let me know that, hey, maybe my time zone's incorrect or my daylight savings time is off. And then I'd want to go back to my MW100. I'd probably go back here, date and time, take a look there, make sure my time zone's correct. Daylight savings time, make sure that this here is enabled and it's correct. Okay, and one thing to make sure is if this wasn't enabled and then you enabled it, you're going to have to go back here, date and time, and try and get these guys close manually, then hit apply, and then hit synchronize. Because you got to be, once again, within a couple minutes of the PC that you're trying to synchronize with. Same thing, you can do that on the DAQStation. You're going to go into the DAQStation, make sure your date, time, time zones, and daylight savings time are all correct. Okay, and then what you should see is if everything's synchronized correctly, you should see this offset here being very, very small between them. Okay, so this is Andrew Brody with Yokogawa's Network Solutions Group. I hope you have enjoyed or learned something from this as how to synchronize the DAQStation and the DX Advanced DAQMaster MW100 with Windows 7 via the present tense time server. Take care and have a great day.